Have you ever heard someone say, they're just migrants, or she's an expat, not an immigrant, and wondered what the difference really is? I mean, don't all these terms, expat, immigrant, non-immigrant, migrant, refugee, asylee, basically mean the same thing? Spoiler alert, they don't. And using the wrong one? That can actually change how people are treated, not just socially, but legally. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what each of these words means, where they overlap, and why they matter more than you might think. So, if you've ever been confused, you're in the right place. Let's discuss what an expat is. Short for expatriate, it just means someone living outside their home country. Sounds simple enough, right? But here's the catch, expat is an illegal term. There's no such thing as an expat visa. It's a social label. A privileged one, actually. A white Canadian working in Germany? Often called an expat. A Filipino nurse doing the exact same thing in the same country? Probably called an immigrant. That difference? It often comes down to race, class, and perceived social status. Not law. Not process. Just perception. So next time you hear someone use that word, just know, it's not about paperwork. It's about image. Let's discuss what an immigrant is. This one is a legal category. An immigrant is someone who moves to another country intending to live there permanently. That's the key part, intent. My cousin moved from India to the US on a green card. Family-based immigration. From the moment she landed, she was considered an immigrant. She wasn't called an expat, because again, the label depends more on who you are than what you're doing. In the US, immigrants come through family petitions, employment sponsorships, the diversity visa lottery, and humanitarian programs. Once approved, they become lawful permanent residents, aka green card holders. Eventually, they can apply for citizenship. But immigrants are often viewed differently than expats. They're told to assimilate. To blend in. To prove they belong. That pressure? It's real, and it's heavy. Let's discuss what a non-immigrant is. A non-immigrant is someone who comes temporarily, for work, study, tourism, or something else short-term. Think of it like a guest pass. Some examples. F1 visas for students. B2 for tourists. H1B for temporary skilled workers. J1 for exchange visitors. When my friend applied for an F1 student visa, we had to send tons of proof that she wasn't trying to immigrate. The assumption is, if you're non-immigrant, you're not staying. But here's the twist. Some non-immigrant visas, like H1B, can lead to permanent status later. It's called dual intent. Others, like tourist visas, can't. If you overstay even one day, that can mess up your future big time. So yeah, it's a legal category, but also a bit of a mind game. What matters is your intent, and whether the government believes you. Let's discuss what a migrant is. A migrant is anyone who moves, either within their own country or across borders. That's it. It could be permanent or temporary. Legal or undocumented. For work or for safety. A farm worker crossing a border every year for harvest? Migrant. A person moving from one state to another in their home country? Also migrant. A refugee? Technically still a migrant. I worked with migrant families during college, people moving from town to town every season. Most were here legally. All were exhausted. No stable schools for their kids. No health care. No roots. But here's the problem. Migrant often gets used as a catch-all, especially in media, where it's framed as a crisis. You'll hear migrant surge or migrant flood, but not expat invasion, right? That framing has consequences. Let's discuss what a refugee is. A refugee is someone who has to flee their country because staying would mean persecution, violence, or death. They're protected under international law, specifically the 1951 Refugee Convention. Refugees apply for protection from outside the country they're trying to enter, often through the UN. They don't pick where they go. They're resettled based on space, need, and politics. The U.S. vetting process for refugees can take up to 2 years. It's not a fast track. It's slow, intense, and life-changing. Think Syria, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Rohingya refugees from Myanmar. These people aren't looking for better jobs, they're just looking to live. Let's discuss what an asylee is. Closely related to refugee is the asylee. Here's the difference. A refugee applies from outside the country. An asylee applies from inside the country, or at the border. Let's say you flee Venezuela and land in the U.S. airport. You tell border officers you fear going home. That's asylum. If it's granted, you become an asylee. The U.S. asylum system is overwhelmed. Some people wait 3 to 5 years just to get their case heard. Many can't work or settle during that time. And not everyone qualifies. General violence or poverty usually isn't enough. You need to prove that you are being targeted, and that's hard when you've left everything behind. Let's do a legal comparison summary. Let's break all that down. Expat, social label, often temporary, often privileged. Immigrant, legal status, here to stay. Green card path. Non-immigrant, temporary stay, specific purpose, guest pass. Migrant, general mover, no legal status implied. Refugee, forced to flee, applies abroad, protected under law. Asylee, forced to flee, applies inside the country. Each one affects your visa, rights, ability to work, and whether you can stay permanently. Let's discuss perception and framing. Now here's something that really matters: how we talk about these people. Expats live abroad. Migrants flood borders. Refugees overwhelm systems. Ukrainians seek shelter. Same actions. Different framing. And framing affects policy, public opinion, and empathy. We're more generous with certain groups because of the words we use to describe them. That's not fair, but it's real. Let's discuss humanitarian versus economic motives. People move for different reasons. Some are running from war. Others are chasing opportunity. Refugees and asylees equals humanitarian migration. Students and workers equals economic migration. But often, it's both. Someone might flee poverty that's threatening their life. Or climate change. Or discrimination. Life doesn't fit neatly into categories, and neither do people. Let's shut down some common myths real quick. Remember these mantras. Not all migrants are undocumented. Refugees don't get free houses. Immigrants don't steal jobs. Asylum isn't an easy loophole. Expat isn't just a fancy word for immigrant, it's a biased one. Facts matter. Labels matter. People matter. Conclusion. So whether someone is an expat, an immigrant, a refugee, or a migrant, they're all just people. People moving through the world for safety, stability, or a shot at something better. And understanding the difference? That's the first step toward understanding each other. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who could use a clearer picture of the immigration conversation.